Hi, New Life Church. Welcome to our TRAC Devo for today, which is Tuesday, January the 9th. Well, we have finished the book of Mark and we have headed over to the book of Revelation. But today, my thought, the Devo that I want to do, it actually comes from the last chapter of the book of Mark, chapter 16. If we go to the previous chapter, chapter 15, Mark tells us about the trial of Jesus. He tells us how Jesus was mocked. He tells us how Jesus was rejected, how he was crucified, and then his body was taken down, and it was wrapped, and it was placed in a tomb. He was buried in a tomb. And the chapter ends, chapter 15 ends with this. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where Jesus's body was laid. So they saw not only where Jesus's body had been placed, but they also saw the large stone that had been placed in front of the tomb. Let's go to chapter 16. Chapter 16 begins with Saturday evening, when the Sabbath ended. Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome went out and purchased burial spices so they could anoint Jesus's body. Very early on Sunday morning, just at sunrise, they went to the tomb. On the way there, they were asking each other, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" There was a problem, and they knew it. They knew that there was something that was standing in the way of what they wanted to do. There was a large stone that they could not move. And how many times in our lives do we come to that situation or that issue in our life that is so big? And we're like, God, how is this going to take place? Maybe we don't even cry out to God. Maybe we start thinking in our own minds of, how can I handle this? How can I take care of this? How can I move this situation? And we realize that we can't. And that was their concern. Maybe they had been up all night the night before, wondering how the stone was going to be rolled away. Maybe they were just, this was something that had been a big conversation for them. I don't know, but I do know that they saw the problem. Walking to the problem, they also knew that it was going to be there. Oh, but wait, it wasn't. God had already had the solution and taken care of it, because it reads in the very next verse. But as they arrived, they looked up and saw that the stone, which was very large — I love how Mark reminds us that this was a large stone, this was a large problem, this was a large circumstance — had already been rolled away. God had already taken care of the solution of the problem. By the time they got there, God already had the answer. God already had taken care of what needed to happen, and the miracle was already done. They didn't need to worry about it. They didn't need to be anxious about it, because God took care of it. And folks, that's what hit me this past week, is that there are so many times in my life that there's a situation or a circumstance, and I worry about it. I become anxious about it. I start to question, how will this ever work out? How will this ever take place? How can I do this? When actually, I don't need to do it, because God's already taken care of the problem. God's already taken care of the situation. I remember a time back when Chris and I were first married, we had a car. And it was a car that had a lot of issues. And we had come across one of these issues, and the car was not working, and it was going to cost a lot of money to fix the car. A lot of money that we did not have, but we needed a car. We only had one car. So I remember we went to church that night, and we just knelt at the altar, both of us, and we just prayed, God, this is a big stone that's in our lives. We can't move this. We don't even have any answers on even how to begin to move it. And one of the brothers came over, and he just said, "Hey, what's going on? Can I pray for you?" And so we shared with him, and we prayed. Chris and I got up from the altar not thinking anything. But that week, the stone was moved, not because we did anything, but God did. There was a check that came in the mail that covered exactly what needed to be done for the cost of the car repairs. God had already taken care of the problem. And I want to remind you of that. God knows how to take care of the problem. We look at it and we're like, wow, this is huge. How can it ever be moved? How can it ever be taken care of? And God says, wait, I've already taken care of it. I've already got the answer. I've already got the solution. Trust me. I know how to take care of it. So New Life Church, know that God cares about you. And in caring about you, He knows how to take care of those situations that seem so big. He knows how to roll the stone away. New Life Church, know that we love you. We care about you. We are here for you. Have a blessed week.